So I opened up Facebook the other day and I came across this post. This photo is 85 years apart. This is my son on the left and his great-grandfather, mum's side, on the right, both around the same age. Ironically, they both share the same birthday and was named after his great-grandfather as well. I have seen this photo dozens of times, but it wasn't until he hit 17 did I realise they are literally twins. Oh, a parent's delusion. An interesting phenomenon. I mean, I can see they're related, but let's all be honest here. The great-grandfather has a much more chiseled jawline and sharper facial structure, clearer skin, better eyes, and although the haircuts are somewhat similar, even the great-grandfather's hair looks far healthier than his modern-day counterpart. But it's not just his bloodline that seems to have fallen off a cliff. This photo represents the overall drastic decline in men's health within the last few decades. Men simply aren't masculine anymore. During World War II, for example, tens of thousands of teenagers in Britain under the age of 18 gave false information just so they could fight for their country. These days, the average British 17-year-old is a skinny, broccoli-haired chronic vapor with a recessed mouth-breather jawline and weaker grip strength than his own mother. We all know the type. Pathetic really is the only way to describe the current state of Western men. No one can deny that there's been an obvious plummeting of men's testosterone levels, unless of course you're a Reddit incel who spends all day indoors and sees obese doctors as legitimate authorities on health. Because otherwise, how could you walk through the average city finding yourself surrounded by the thousands of soyified losers walking to the store to buy their wife's boyfriend his favourite steak, or people who are literally built like dung beetles, and not think that there is a severe problem with men today? But what has actually caused this? Why is the average man today either emaciated and hopelessly weak, or shaped like melted ice cream? I think there are 5 main causes. Firstly, the modern diet is absolutely awful. The standard American diet, for example, is unbelievably high in inflammatory seed oils, estrogenic foods like soy, and the average American adult is in a constant calorie surplus while living a mostly sedentary lifestyle, leading to their shocking levels of obesity and people shaped like actual beetles becoming a common sight on the street. Fat cells produce estrogen, so a fat person is automatically going to have much lower testosterone. On top of that, the fact that highly processed seed oils, literal engine lubricants, are in almost every food product is further nuking our testosterone. These disgusting oils promote oxidative stress and inflammation, which damages testosterone-producing cells in the testes. The excessive omega-6 intake from seed oils also disrupts the balance between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids in the body, increasing inflammation, which further impairs testosterone synthesis. And seed oils also contribute to insulin resistance and increased body fat, which, again, is going to lower your testosterone levels. I'm honestly shocked that when men go to the doctors and say, "I'd like to become a woman," they don't just prescribe gallons of seed oils. Another reason for the total death of masculinity is that men simply aren't sleeping properly. Teenage boys, during their most critical years for hormonal development, are staying up until the early hours of the morning, wasting time and looking at brain rot on their phones, getting awful sleep. A study by a British university found that less than 10% of British teenagers meet the recommended guidelines for sleep, physical activity, and screen time combined. So basically, teenagers are sitting down too much, spending too much time on their phones, and therefore getting very poor sleep. It's the same with adults. On average, adults in Britain get around 6 hours and 19 minutes of sleep per night, which is well below the required 8 hours. Over 50% of adults report feeling stressed due to poor sleep. Imagine what that is doing to their testosterone and cortisol. Sleep is crucial for testosterone production. It's where most of it is produced in the body. So if you're not sleeping, you are literally castrating yourself. And then we have the toxins. Firstly, men these days drink far too much alcohol. In Britain, where the Optimal team is based, we have a particularly bad drinking culture. It's common for young people to be drunk multiple times a week, and alcohol absolutely decimates your testosterone. On top of everything else, the average person is surrounded by environmental toxins. Xenoestrogens and endocrine disruptors are literally everywhere. BPA, which is found in plastic bottles and food can linings, phthalates that can be found in spray deodorants, colognes and plastic packaging, parabens, found in shampoos, lotions and cosmetics, triclosan, which is found in antibacterial soaps and toothpaste, pesticides, found in non-organic fruits and vegetables, flame retardants, found in furniture, mattresses and electronics, non-alphenol, which is found in laundry detergents and industrial cleaners, formaldehyde, found in polyester fabrics and wrinkle-free clothes, atrazine, which is found in herbicides used in agriculture, and perfluorinated chemicals, found in non-stick cookware and waterproof clothing, just to name a few of the toxins that are probably all around you. And all of these things, by the way, have been linked to not just lower testosterone levels in men, but also other rather worrying health complications. Try your best to avoid them by using more natural and homemade products. And as if all of this wasn't enough, the culture in the West, which is where most of us live, has become inherently toxic and anti-masculinity. From a young age, boys are bombarded with messages that portray traditional masculinity as something dangerous, toxic, or outright undesirable. Schools and media push narratives that celebrate passivity, emotional fragility, and self-doubt, while demonizing traits like assertiveness, leadership, and strength, labeling them as forms of toxic masculinity. As a young boy, I faced this myself. When I was very young, my teachers noticed my naturally ultra-competitive personality. I always wanted everything to be a competition, and I always wanted to win. Instead of channeling these healthy and naturally masculine desires, they tried to beat it out of me. Figuratively, of course, although I'm sure a few of them would have liked to give me a smack or two if it was legal. It was always, everyone is a winner, and I'd be punished for wanting to compete and celebrate victory. All young men are told that being competitive, ambitious, or even physically strong is outdated or oppressive, that desiring traditional gender roles and relationships is toxic and abusive. The result is a generation of boys growing up unsure of their place in society, scared to express themselves in ways that are biologically ingrained. Masculine role models are increasingly scarce, and the few that remain are often ridiculed or villainized in mainstream media. And all of this is contributing to the steady erosion of male self-confidence, and therefore testosterone levels, because the psychological truly is the biological. Boys that grow up having their natural masculinity forcibly repressed will undoubtedly grow up to be lesser, more disadvantaged men. And finally, we have the high stress of modern life. Today's man is constantly bombarded with stress from every direction. Work, finances, relationships, social media, and the relentless pace of daily life. Chronic stress leads to elevated cortisol levels, which is a testosterone killer. When cortisol is high, the body shifts its resources towards handling the immediate stress, prioritizing survival over hormone production. Most people today are living in a near permanent state of fight or flight, which utterly destroys their ability to produce healthy levels of testosterone. If you want to learn how to best manage that stress, check out our tier list on the 20 best ways to manage cortisol levels for optimal testosterone. Our ancestors lived in simpler, slower-paced environments where immediate stress came in short bursts, like hunting or facing physical danger. Today, we're subjected to a constant, artificial barrage of different stimuli, deadlines, and anxieties, things our ancestors never would have had to concern themselves with. In essence, modern society is a pressure cooker of psychological stressors that the human mind was never meant to endure. As Ted Kaczynski famously argued, the rapid development of technology and industrial society has outpaced our ability to adapt. We are now square pegs trying to fit into round holes, psychologically ill-equipped for the environment we've built. This disconnection between our evolutionary design and the modern world is wreaking havoc on our hormones, and so it's no wonder that men are suffering both mentally and physically. So that is what's happened to men, and that's it for this Optimal video. If you've enjoyed it and want to see more, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss another upload.